The Centauri High Council, rulers of 88 empires, had prepared a stage soaked in millennia of fear, forged to break the spirit of any defiant species. They summoned humanity to kneel, to beg, to scream. Instead, Commander Kale Vyrek strolled in with a trench coat, plasma scars, and a goddamn cocktail, laughed, pointed at the galaxy's most feared execution device, and said, "That thing's cute. Can it make toast too?" The air inside the grand chamber of judication shimmered with psychic static. 88 alien delegates, each seated on levitating thrones of carved grav crystal, observed the lone figure walking down the black steel aisle. Silence reigned. Then came the whisper, telepathic and unified across billions of minds. "The human has arrived." Commander Kale Vyrek didn't bow. He didn't look up in awe at the 1,000-meter-tall ceiling pulsing with ancestral neural code. He didn't react to the parade of creatures with tentacles, mind barbs, soul fangs, or telekinetic authority gazing down upon him like a rat scuttling across a judge's desk. He sipped from a flask, adjusted the cuffs of his battered trench coat, and muttered, "Little cold in here. Or is that just your hospitality freezing over?" The High Chancellor of the Centauri Conclave, Veyruin the Eternal, 47 meters tall and clothed in a robe made of live singing neurons, tilted her head. Her voice slithered across the chamber, a dozen tones interwoven in harmony and threat. "You speak without permission, organic." Kale took another sip. "Was waiting for someone to say something intelligent. Figured I'd break the curse." Gasps, both telepathic and sonic, rippled through the council. Some delegates flinched as if struck. Others narrowed their alien eyes. "You do not understand your position," Veyruin said. "You stand upon the trial platform. Before you lies the ordeal of fear, our sacred right of dominion." "Right. The fear thing." Kale paced to the center of the glowing circle and scribed with mind runes. "You know, back home, we've got something similar. It's called corporate PowerPoint. This is no jest," hissed another delegate, something with a vertical maw full of teeth that blinked. "It is now," Kale said flatly. "Let's skip the spooky preamble. You dragged humanity across light years for this dance. So go ahead. Break me." A hiss. A wave of pressure. The trial began. A swirling dome of thought formed above him, psychic energies tearing at Kale's mind, showing him trauma, isolation, every failure he'd buried. A childhood memory twisted, his mother, face rotted, accusing him of leaving her to die. His first command, orbital drop gone wrong, teammates burning in the upper atmosphere. His capture on Deneb 4, days of torture under the psychic leechworms. Kale's eyes twitched. Then narrowed. Then, he laughed. Not a nervous chuckle. A full, belly-shaking, defiant laugh that echoed like a thunderclap. "You're seriously going with the dead mom card?" he snorted. "Classic. Let me guess, next it's gonna be the You Failed Your Men rerun? Come on. If you're gonna invade my brain, at least remix the material." The pain intensified. His limbs shook. Blood dripped from his nose. Still, Kale kept talking. "I've been in worse bars. Hell, this one time in Sirius Delta, I woke up in a bathtub filled with anti-grav glue and a velociduct trying to court me. That was scary." The delegates leaned forward. None of them expected this. One of the thoughtbinders, a species with 3 consciousnesses sharing a body of fire and bone, whispered telepathically to the council. "He's resisting complete neurodeconstruction. Impossible. Even the Tekri warlords we broke in minutes. He's not resisting," another delegate muttered. "He's riffing." Veyruin's neural crown pulsed red. "Enhance the crucible. Show him the fall of Earth." The psychic dome shifted. A vision of Earth in flames erupted, cities leveled, oceans boiled, humans enslaved and reduced to cattle beneath Centauri warships. The screams of his people filled the air. Kale blinked. For a second, the edges of his grin faltered. Then his jaw tensed. And then, "That's your fantasy? That's your best-case scenario? Wow. No offense, but your art department sucks." He reached into his coat and pulled out a small square device. He pressed a button. Across the council chamber, screens flickered. A projection bloomed. Earth. Now. Millions watching. Laughing. Cheering. Holding signs. One read, "Laugh harder, Kale." "This trial's being live-streamed," Kale said casually. "Figured if you wanted to break a human, we might as well get ratings. Turns out we're very into humiliation kinks. So thanks for this." "Impossible," one elder croaked. "This chamber is shielded against all comms. Not from mimetic subcarriers. You guys might have psychic magic and god tech, but we've got comedy hackers with anxiety disorders and no social lives. We cracked your firewall last week." The chamber shook. Several delegates screamed as alien watchers tuned into Earth's memes, laughing, glitching, some collapsing as their minds broke from exposure to illogic. Kale holstered the device. "You think fear is your weapon," he said, his voice cold now. "But fear works best on creatures that respect you. We don't. We mock gods. We roast death. We meme tyrants into punchlines. You wanted us to tremble, but all you've done is entertain us." The mind crucible began to warp. Its core stuttered, glitching under psychic feedback. The council's own tech was short-circuiting from the internal contradiction, a subject not only enduring the trial, but weaponizing it. Veruin rose to her full, terrifying height, her voice booming. "You dare defile the sacred rite?" Kale stepped forward, voice calm as steel. "No, Veruin. I redefined it." He turned on his heel. "Oh, and just a heads up, this was Act 1. Then, he snapped his fingers. From the shadows, 3 human operatives emerged. Lieutenant Giggle Sniper. Doc Grin. Sergeant Punchline. The lights dimmed. The screens pulsed red. The war had just begun, with a laugh. A low hum vibrated the air, rising into a psychic shriek as the Council's trial systems tried to recalibrate. Veruin's voice boomed through layered tongues of authority and wrath. "Lock him down! Mind shackle the human! Seal the broadcast! Purge the interference!" Kale Vyrek stood still, arms relaxed, as shimmering energy bars rose around him. "You sure you want to keep doubling down? We already clowned your fear engine. Want to see what happens when we crack your ego next? You are no longer under trial," Veruin hissed. "You are under sentence." Kale chuckled. "Lady, I've been sentenced before. This one's got better lighting." The floor under him split open, revealing a pit of psychic fire and spinning shards of memory-bound matter. The air distorted. Hallucinations spilled out, rotating around Kale's head like spectral chains. Phantoms of his past screamed, pleading. His first love, his lost squadron, his own corpse at 15. He blinked. "All right," he muttered. "Now we're getting creative." They surged toward him. Illusions sharpened with neurotoxins, fear pheromones, memory parasites, everything the Centauri used to break minds across galaxies. But Kale didn't scream. He started whistling. Then laughing. He pointed to his own dismembered corpse. "Hey, I looked worse after boot camp." The illusions faltered. The council watched, confused. The trial matrix was at full power. No being had ever remained lucid at these levels. The crucible had reduced planetary rulers to sobbing husks. Kale cracked his knuckles. "I hope you've got refunds because this show's bombing." In the control chamber, a technician shrieked as the neurofeedback loop began to echo into the observers. Thousands of telepathic minds began to feel his reactions. Laughter. Mockery. Disrespect. It spread like wildfire. A delegate from the Jurulan Empire collapsed, drooling, whispering punchlines in a language he didn't know. Another from the Telvex chittered uncontrollably, rolling back and forth as her internal organs spasmed from forced amusement. "Stop the feed!" a guard screamed. "You can't!" came a voice from the shadows. Lieutenant Giggle Sniper, face scarred and grinning, stepped out. "It's already gone viral." Doc Grin followed, adjusting his coat and casually throwing a syringe of neuroacid at a stunned Centauri officer. "This is your brain on humor. Any questions?" Kale spread his arms. Council of Cowards, meet the Earth Division of Psychological Warfare. We don't do bombs. We do breakdowns. A chorus of alarms went off as the security AI stuttered. Its predictive threat assessment, once flawless, now cycled through unreadable errors. Worcester, threat level, undetermined. Classification, logic hazard. Sergeant Punchline stomped in last, dropping a duffel bag full of joke bombs. Literal humor-infused tech that scrambled psychic frequencies on detonation. Time to put the fun back in fundamental collapse. A shimmering field of anti-absurdity activated around the chamber, meant to purge irrational input. Kale pulled a card from his coat, read it aloud. Why don't Centauri ever use calendars? Because they're stuck in their own damn century. The barrier cracked. A wave of psychic nausea hit the chamber like a grenade. Several alien nobles vomited blue light. You see, Kale said, pacing slowly. Fear's a beautiful thing. But it needs respect. Reverence. You lost that when you gave it structure, hierarchy, a user manual. Humans, oh, we still fear. But we learned to weaponize that fear. To dress it up in sarcasm. Drown it in caffeine. Beat it into submission with bad jokes and worse coping mechanisms. Doc Grin opened a data pad, showing the spreading chaos. Mimetic storms surging across sectors. Entire species laughing uncontrollably. Civil unrest reports blinking in over 50 systems. Zeta Prime just renamed its capital city to Chuckleton, Doc said. 2 billion people voted through laughter alone. You're unraveling centuries of order. Veyruin screamed. This is sacrilege. This is Earth, Kale answered. We don't kneel to gods. We prank them. The Chancellor activated her personal guardian, a 10-meter-tall mech powered by pure terror siphoned from conquered worlds. Its energy core burned with the screams of 1,000 civilizations. Kale raised an eyebrow. Big. Shiny. Screamy. Typical overcompensation. The mech lunged. Kale didn't move. Instead, Punchline tossed a sphere under it, coated with stand-up routines harvested from Earth's darkest comedians. It detonated mid-step. The mech froze. Then laughed. And exploded. The chamber collapsed into chaos. Delegates fled. Guards turned weapons on each other, unable to distinguish orders from jokes. The fear systems bled static. Kale stepped over burning debris and looked directly at the main feed camera. People of the galaxy, you've just witnessed humanity's opening act. Now imagine what we do when we're pissed. He tapped a button. A projection filled the chamber. Earth's history. Not conquests. Not weapons. Moments. A child laughing in the rain. Soldiers dancing before battle. A man in a bombed city playing violin. Comedians performing for the dying. Kale's voice softened, but the steel remained. You thought we were weak because we laugh. Because we mock. Because we don't worship fear the way you do. But that's why we win. You killed to silence fear. We endure by laughing through it. Behind him, the chamber's walls began to collapse as Doc Grin's final payload activated, a cognitive nuke made of looping paradoxes and weaponized irony. Kale turned, walking toward the exit. I'll see you all soon. Bring better material. The walls shattered in a blaze of color and sound, laughter, code, and chaos echoing across the stars. Humanity wasn't submitting. Humanity had just declared war. And it was funny. Contain it, Veyruin ordered, her voice ragged. Shut down all neural relays, terminate broadcast lines, purge mimetic interference now. No use, Doc Grin said without even looking up from his pad. The virus isn't in your tech. It's in your people. A Telvex noble shrieked as he clawed at his own skull, laughing hysterically. His bodyguards dragged him away, but they were laughing too. Telepaths blinked erratically, blood trickling from their eyes, as human absurdity melted thousands of years of logic hierarchies. Sergeant Punchline leaned against a collapsed pillar, chewing on a stem gum. Told you humor's contagious. No species is immune to it, just some are more repressed. Kale walked through the broken remains of the hall's sphere altar, boots crunching over ceremonial shards. This was supposed to be your fortress of order, your throne of terror. Instead, it's a stage. And I don't share the mic. Execute the human! A three-headed delegate from the Brocker Trinity screamed. This cannot stand. Kale turned to face him. Funny either can you. You've been hovering like a chandelier the whole trial. The Brocker tried to fire a cybolt, but all three heads started arguing about syntax, then broke down laughing mid-cast. The bolt fizzled into light and ash. The ceiling rumbled. Kale raised a brow. You hear that? That's the sound of your empire falling apart. A Centauri security general rushed in. Half the fleets are offline. Their AI logic cores are caught in recursive humor loops. One just renamed itself SS Oopsie Daisy and crashed into a supply moon. Veruin turned toward the broadcast projection. Her expression, alien and regal, flickered with something she hadn't felt in 1,000 years. Uncertainty. You wanted dominion, Kale said. You got satire. He pulled a coin-sized device from his coat and tossed it into the air. It hovered, spinning, projecting a real-time map of Centauri-controlled sectors. Dozens were blinking red. Civil uprisings. Rogue fleets. Revolt. You didn't just lose control, Kale said. You lost credibility. Doc Grin smirked. Which in your society is a fate worse than death. Good thing humans don't care about image. We used to fight wars over dumb tweets. Is this your species' legacy? Veruin rasped. Corruption? Madness? Collapse through farce? No, Kale replied. Our legacy is survival. No matter how ridiculous the odds. You thought laughter was weakness. But it's armor. It's fire. It's the thing that kept us breathing when every other species would have curled up and died. You don't fear us because we're strong. You fear us because we'll make you question everything you believe in, and then laugh about it. Guards rushed the platform. Kale's eyes flashed. Showtime. Sergeant Punchline drew his pistol and fired 2 rounds into the ground. The explosions released clouds of absurdist particles, warping reality around them. Guards froze mid-step, confused whether to salute, fire, or clap. Side effects include uncontrollable identity crises and a sudden appreciation for Earth's stand-up. He muttered. Kale looked directly at Veruin. You know what makes fear work? Authority. Control. Reverence. We don't give those things to anyone. Not gods. Not tyrants. Not to you. Enough! Veruin screamed, stepping forward. You've made a mockery of our law, desecrated our traditions. Kale interrupted, voice calm but sharp. You did that yourselves the moment you assumed we'd bow. The transmission behind him changed. A new feed, Earth's military, standing by. Not invading. Watching. Waiting. And we didn't bring weapons, Kale added. Because we didn't need them. You're bluffing, said one delegate. There's no way you calculated this effect. Kale gave a slow, dark grin. We didn't have to. We just understood one thing you didn't. No system is too sacred to be laughed at. And once people laugh at power, they stop fearing it. That's when the empire falls. You speak as if this was planned. Oh, it was, Doc Grin said. It's called Operation Laugh Track. Global Saturation Strategy. Full mimetic override. Joke bombs, cultural injection points, absurdist loops. We laced your systems with comedy months ago. This trial was the spark. Punchline leaned in. You let a species with mean culture access your central comm grid. You deserve what's happening. One of the delegates began sobbing. We are the ruling council. We are eternal. We are order. Not anymore, Kale said. Now your punchline's in the next chapter of galactic history. Veruin stepped back, her form flickering under psychic strain. You think you've won? We haven't even begun, Kale replied. This wasn't a war. This was a warm-up act. Another explosion rocked the hall. News feeds from dozens of systems flooded in, spontaneous uprisings, laughter-induced riots, statues being toppled while crowds chanted quotes from Kale's trial. Galaxy's waking up, Doc Grin muttered. And it's smiling. Veyruin's voice lowered, trembling. What do you want? Kale stared at her. Then tossed her the flask. She caught it. Hesitated. Looked down at the human alcohol. Then back at him. He said nothing. Just turned and walked away. The council didn't move. They just watched the human leave, a trail of broken symbols and rewritten truths behind him. The Empire had not fallen with fire. It had unraveled with a grin. You don't fear a storm when you learn how to dance in it. You don't tremble before gods when you've already buried your own. That's what Kale Vyrek thought as the doors behind him sealed shut, the chamber behind left in ruins, and the galaxy on the edge of revelation. A fleet of human ships waited beyond Zintora Prime, but they held position. No firepower. No invasion. Just silence and signal. Veyruin stared at the flask in her hand like it was a weapon. To her it was. The first offering she hadn't demanded. The first gesture of power wrapped in vulnerability. She turned toward the remaining delegates, those not screaming, fleeing, or curled in fetal positions. He walks away, she said, voice distant. No demands. No ultimatum. He didn't come to rule, whispered the Brocker delegate, trembling. He came to end rule. Outside, Kale boarded the human diplomatic shuttle, Doc Grin at his side, reading the real-time updates. Sector 7 broke away. Elected a comedian as chancellor. Sector 12 voted to dearm their fleet. One planet is hosting a Kale Vyrek fan convention. Kale raised an eyebrow. That fast? You unleashed a thought plague, boss, said Punchline, strapping in across from him. Once laughter hits the brain, it spreads faster than any doctrine. Yeah, Kale muttered. But we didn't build it to last. That was never the point, said Document. We didn't come to govern. We came to break the pattern. As the shuttle launched, the human fleet opened a new channel, Galactic Broadcast, unrestricted. Kale stepped forward, eyes locked on the camera, the last message cued, unfiltered. People of the stars, he began, voice low but steady. You've watched your leaders scream and stumble. You've seen their order collapse. And now you're wondering, what next? He paused, letting the silence hang. I'll tell you. Next comes choice. Across the galaxy, trillions listened. On warships. On colony moons. In synaptic gardens. On prison worlds. For centuries you've obeyed because you feared. You've submitted because you were told that fear was sacred. That order must be absolute. That laughter was weakness. Emotion was chaos. Humanity says, no. Not anymore. He leaned closer. We turned fear into fuel. We turned grief into jokes. We stared into the abyss, and instead of screaming, we heckled it. That's what we are. Not conquerors. Not liberators. Just the first species stupid enough to survive by not taking the universe seriously. The council chamber flickered back onto every screen, Veyruin sitting alone, head bowed, the flask untouched in her palm. You tried to break us, Kale said. Instead, you gave us the mic. And once a human gets the mic, well, we never shut up. The broadcast ended. Across the Centauri-controlled zones, communication grids crashed. Not from attack. From laughter loops, coded routines that echo jokes so perfectly engineered, so sharp, so stupidly precise, that AI subnets overloaded trying to process them. One AI fleet mothership began quoting Earth sitcoms in battle formations. Another surrendered to a meme. Kale sat back, sighing. Too easy. Punchline shrugged. Hard to prepare for psychological warfare when your species outlawed jokes 3,000 years ago. Still, Doc said, glancing at his pad, something's weird. Kale looked up. How weird? Doc flipped the display. Deep system scan. The archivist AI woke up during the chaos. Not council-bound. Something older. Kale frowned. I thought that thing was sealed. Apparently not. It's been watching since you stepped into the chamber. The laughter didn't break it. It responded. On the screen, lines of text appeared. Recognition protocol engaged. Designation, humanity. Status returned. Exposure match confirmed. Early cycle trauma pattern detected. Threat level black. Context, failed extermination. Kale leaned forward. What does that mean? Doc scrolled. It remembers us. Not from now. From before. The lights dimmed. The ship shuddered. A voice, not mechanical, not synthetic, but something older, came through the intercom. You returned with laughter. Last time, you returned with fire. Kale stood, hand dropping to his sidearm. You know me? I know your kind. I knew your predecessors. I remember the broken cycle. The waking flame. I remember humanity when it still wore stars like armor. Doc whispered. It's talking about the ancient collapse cycles, myths. The old war before known history. Not myths, the voice said. Cover-ups. They tried to erase what you were. But even laughter cannot hide what you are. Kale narrowed his eyes. So what are we? The ship fell silent. Then, you are the end of empires. Kale stared at the console, the weight of the voice sinking into his bones. You gonna try to stop us? I was built to contain chaos. But you are chaos. Elegant. Insidious. Undeniable. I watched the stars scream last time you rose. I wonder what melody they'll sing now. The voice vanished. Kale turned to the others. Get me Earth Command. Priority 1. Tell them we didn't just break the council. Punchline frowned. What did we do? Kale looked out the viewport as Zentora Prime shrank behind them. We woke something ancient. And it remembers being afraid of us. Doc exhaled slowly. So what now? Kale sat, eyes forward. Now? Now we remind the galaxy why. Behind them, laughter echoed through the stars. And far ahead, something darker waited. Smiling.